episode of Vakna För Fan. Today we have a very special episode. We have a great guest with us from United States, David Weiss. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It was really nice that you answered when I reached out to you a few days ago. So because I actually found out about you pretty recently because I have been a flat earther myself for about since 2016, and mostly when I got into it, I listened a lot to Eric Dubai, if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I never heard about you actually, and but then there was another friend of mine. His mom, she actually converted to flat Earth pretty recently, and I think a lot of it was thanks to one of your videos that you made with Björn Lundberg.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I've been doing a few shows in Sweden, so
yeah,
it's nice. It's nice to see that Sweden is waking up with the rest of the world.
Exactly. So because we have a lot of awake people in Sweden in the like a conspiracy movement, and a lot of people are awake to New World Order and all these things, but not so many are awakened to the flat Earth. So that is something that's growing, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the thing. I used to do a conspiracy podcast here about the New World Order stuff, things from like the thing that happened in New York and other big contrived events. And then I started talking about flat Earth, and started hearing about flat Earth, and I was like, oh, that's too crazy. That's too far. We all know the Earth is a globe. And then I did what most people do. I refused to look at any evidence because I already decided that it's impossible. Flat Earth, it makes no sense. We're not flat Earth. They think that we're a pancake floating in space, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly,
and nobody believes that. No flat earther believes that we're a pancake floating in space. But
right.
that's
or
what
a turtle.
not. Yeah, or well, you know what? I can't rule out the turtle yet. Okay. I'm kind of kidding there, but when people think about flat Earth, they think about this. This is mixing both models. Well, it's not mixing both models. It's the heliocentric fake model with a fake flat Earth model, right? Yeah. Nobody believes we're a disk floating in space. So this is a meme to control people's minds, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like for me, it was because I've been into like conspiracies for about I started in 2013, and I listened a lot to David Icke. I'm sure you're familiar with him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was in 2016. I was actually living in the States at the moment, and there was a guy in my church. He told me about, because I was pretty open with my conspiracy theories, and they like kind of made fun of me, but in a friendly way, And then one guy said like, "Oh, have you heard about the flat Earth?" And at first, I just like laughed. It sounded ridiculous,
Exactly. We all have the same story.
Yeah. So, but then, I researched it, and the moment when I started researching it, like on YouTube, of course. I mean, where else can you go for it? And I just had like this feeling, like I don't know, it was from God or the Spirit or something, just telling me immediately that it was true, And so I don't know, but so that was one of my first questions I wanted to ask you. How did you get into the flat Earth and all these things?
Same exact way you got into it. I refused to look. And then I was so sick and tired of hearing people say, Dave, you got to look into this, that I went in with a closed mind, not an open mind. All right, let me see. I went in with let me prove it wrong. Let me prove the globe and shut all you dummies up. Then I started looking, because we all have the same things. Oh, Aristophanes figured it out with sticks and shadows in Greece 2,000 years ago. Well, that's not true. Boats go over the horizon, over the curve, like Bill Nye the Lion Guy with the bow tie showed us. No, that's not true. Okay. Seasons prove flat Earth. Seasons prove the globe. Seasons actually prove the flat Earth when you actually look at them. We can talk about that if you want.
Sure.
Time zones, right? All of this stuff. And I tried to prove the globe. And what I found out, there are no proofs of the globe. Here's the thing. The people that don't, there's different types of people in the world. There's people like you and I that looked, saw, thought, used our brains and realized, okay, the globe is ridiculous. Then there's other people that say, I'm not going to look. I believe in the globe. I think I have a million reasons why, but I can't think of one of them right now. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you ask them, you say, you know, all right, let me ask you some questions on this globe. Do you know how far away the sun is? You know how big the sun is? You know the diameter of the Earth, the radius of the Earth, how fast it's spinning at the equator? Did you know that if
Right.
it's spinning that fast at the equator, it's spinning slower in Sweden? You know how you know the distance of the sun was determined? You know, do you know any of these? Do you realize that you're traveling 4.5 billion miles a year, never to return to where you were before, and none of the stars ever change, and none of them know any of this? They're like, I don't know,
Right,
I
right.
don't know, I know, but a guy in a bow tie and a teacher had a globe in front of the class, and the books, you know, given by the Rockefellers, you know, in class taught us that we live in this ridiculous made up Narnia land. And
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
to believe it because if I don't, somebody might make fun of me.
Right, right. Yeah, it's just, people just say, "Oh, everybody knows the world is a globe," you know. So I don't know. I think it was really wonderful that you have like a competition, right? For so if someone can send in a proof that the Earth is a globe, you will pay them 3 bitcoins. Is that correct?
3 Bitcoins for one proof of the globe, but you have to take the challenge first. You have my app.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, for sure.
So, so, uh, so, if you Google flat Earth, you're gonna in YouTube, whatever,
Mm.
you're gonna get fed an algorithm by the elite that they want you to see. They want you to see all of these garbage videos. Some
Yeah.
of them will actually, even their propaganda videos, will make a smart person go, "Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense," right? Because
Mm.
all of their stuff is what I call helio nonsensical,
Yeah.
and
Right.
and and so you won't find anything. So this is my app, the excuse me, the Flat Earth Sun Moon and Zodiac Clock app. Here's the challenge: every day there's a new video that shows up here right around this time that we're recording, and you tap that thumbnail, up comes the video. Watch the video every day for 2 weeks,
Mm.
and at the end of that 2 weeks, if you were paying attention, you will be a globe denier, a minimum, or a
Yeah.
full-on flat earther. But
Right.
if you weren't listening because you were listening to the voices in your head talking and you still think the earth is a globe and you have
Mm.
what you say, I've got a proof. You
Mm.
can send it to me,
Okay.
info@theflatearthpodcast.com. And if it's a proof, if it's a globe proof, you win 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to hit the FAQs, which is it'll show up as a question mark, but here are all the frequently asked questions. Like, hey, what about eclipses? What about gravity? What about seasons? Right? You know, what
Right.
about ships over the horizon? Right? Because I've seen ships go over the horizon. Well, you think you have, right? If you
Yeah.
click
Exactly.
that, up comes a playlist of videos that they don't want you to see. And I just challenge you to watch the first 4 or 5 videos, and then don't believe the videos. Um, Go out, get your own super zoom camera, and
Mm.
do the test yourself. Right? That's what
That's
did it
true.
for me. I was like, wow, all this stuff's pretty convincing. All the videos are well documented, but I
Mm.
need to see it myself. I live on the water here on the east coast of the USA.
Okay.
I bought a Nikon P900, which was brand new at the time. I zoomed in on something that should have been 66 feet below the curve, and there it was.
Yeah.
Okay. But so
Amen.
then I said, wait a minute. Let's be fair. Maybe those stupid flat earthers have their calculators are wrong. And I went
Yeah.
to some of the debunking fact checker sites, which are
Okay.
basically just New World Order shills.
Right.
And on this one site, they said, well, if you're looking somewhere, it's not like you're at the top of the ball and the drop's like this. It's
Mm.
you're here, things
Mm.
there, so it's only half of the drop, right?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'll give
Yeah.
it to you because I don't need it.
Yeah.
Okay, there should be 33 feet of curvature, and I'm looking
Yeah.
at something that's 10 feet tall, and I can see it. I zoomed
Right.
in on people. I sat at the edge of the water, and I zoomed in on people
Mm.
across Long Island Sound here, which is the body along a wide body of water. I could see other people sitting at the water's edge. How was that possible? There should have been a couple dozen feet of curvature. Not happening.
Exactly.
Not
That's
yeah.
that's so true.
Not
But
happening.
how what is the globe people? What are their explanations for things like this? Like when we say we can look at a building that's 100 miles away, it should be like 5,000 feet below the curvature or something like that. Do they have a? Because when I talk to people, they just kind of brush it off. But what is their? Do you know the official explanation they have, or
Well, their explanations are absolutely nonsensical. They say refraction. The globe argument now says there isn't a physical horizon, right? So here's a globe, and if my fingernail was a boat and I sailed away, the boat's going to disappear behind a physical horizon. Right here is a physical horizon. I zoom in, you still can't see it because there's a physical horizon right here, right? So the boat is hidden behind a physical horizon, but that's not how it works on a flat Earth. On a flat Earth, the sky, you can go out on a day where there's nice cumulus clouds and they're all sitting up there on a deck. They're 5,000-10,000 feet over your head. But if you look 30 miles away over water, the clouds are actually touching the horizon, right? Due to perspective, right? Yeah. So, because as things move away into the distance, they merge. So all of these streetlights are at the same height, right? Here's the sun just going away, right?
Right.
So this is slightly different, but I just wanted to show you, make sure people understood how perspective works. So, so here is the limit of our vision is this horizon. So I'm right here. There's nothing on the horizon, and as I zoom in, I'm increasing the angular size, and as I do, all of a sudden you can see there's a boat there. Okay. Right. So now watch, I'm going to zoom out, which is the same as this boat going away, and watch, the boat will disappear from the bottom up because these little waves in the foreground are hiding the entire boat because the boat's getting smaller and smaller. Like, can I hide this ball behind my finger? Can I hide it?
Yeah, no, you cannot, exactly.
Right. But if my finger was a wave closer to you and the boat is going away, it's gone behind my finger.
That's a great comparison, actually.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, it's all about perspective when you understand that. So here, and then I'll get to answering your question. What do the Globers say? So this is the spot in Alusia, France, looking out over the ocean at Canigou Mountain. Canigou Mountain is 175 miles away. Using the globe Earth math, saying, okay, the Earth is 24,901 miles around. From this viewing height at that distance, the top of Mount Canigou should be a half a mile or more than a half a mile. I'm rounding down below the curve of the Earth. Okay, so therefore we can't see it. And look, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Do you see me right now?
Yeah, I can.
You don't see me. You see the light that's bouncing off of me because if I turned off all the lights in my room, you wouldn't see me, right?
Okay. Yeah,
you see the light, right? Turn off all the lights in your room. You're seeing that. So that's standard. So the light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou has to push 175 miles through this thick atmosphere. You ever go in a really large swimming pool? Water's crystal clear, but you can't see the far edge underwater because it just becomes opaque. So the light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou can't make it back to your eyes except twice a year. The sun migrates in between the two tropics, and twice a year it's lined up with the viewer and Mount Canigou, and it backlights the mountain, and there it is.
Wow, amazing! You should be able to see it, right? It should be under, right?
So the globe argument is, the mountain is a mile below the curve, and the sun set 10 minutes ago, but it's refracting up and stopping at eye level. Okay, these are, and they say it with a bow tie and a Freemason tie. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor, and Bill Nye, the Bill Nye the Lion guy, and you got Brian.
And they are very arrogant too. They are very like. Listen, I saw only a few minutes because I thought it was so horrible. There was another interview you made with some guy. He was supposed to be
Professor Dave.
Yeah, that guy was terrible. I mean, he was just. I mean, he didn't listen or anything. He just was super arrogant. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah, and his, it's super arrogant. He's not even a professor. He's dropped out of school. It's the whole thing. But and it's funny. He has 2 million. So when you Google, he comes up first, right? He comes up first because his videos are just propaganda pieces, and they use this snarky attitude. But he has 2 million subs. We did a live stream on it, and on another channel, right? It was filled with my subs were in there. There was a couple hundred and 0 of his. He should have had over 10,000 of his viewers there because they're not real viewers. They're propped up. They're bots. They're trolls. and they have nothing. And then they all come after me. Oh, Professor Dave destroyed you. No, he didn't. I didn't get any points across because he's too retarded to understand, right? Exactly, and he was, and I don't like talking to people like that. I'm talking to you. Yeah. If you were not a flat earther but willing to have this conversation, I'm happy to talk to you, right? So right. That guy. Exactly. Let me go over a point I was trying to make with him, and I'm trying to find a better way to explain this because here's the thing. You remember the movie The Matrix?
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
All right. So remember when Neo at the beginning of the movie, he's hiding in his apartment, he's sleeping a lot, he's depressed. It's because, and this will refer back to your comment about when you looked at Flat Earth, like the creator spoke to you and like, hey, this is it. Well, your soul, which is a piece of the creator, is constantly trying to yell the truth at you, but your mind has been put into a matrix, a fear matrix, false evidence appearing real, the news steering your mind, north, east, west, south, right? And they put you into this limited prison. It's called the globe. The heliocentric model is the matrix.
Right. Part of it. I mean,
and so when they unplugged Neo, they found him and they got him on the recovery table. He's got him. Yeah. So Neo's on the recovery table and he goes to Morpheus. He goes, "Why do my eyes hurt?" And do you remember what Morpheus said? Because you've never used them before. Okay. Ooh, right? Because he's been in the Matrix his whole life. So when somebody new is listening to me for the first time, well, if they're listening for just 10 minutes or more, they go, "My brain hurts." And it's because they never used it before. Because we weren't taught to think creatively. You know, in school, they tell you that you use 10% of your brain. I always thought that was interesting. That's the goal of school. The goal is to disconnect you from your connection to nature, your connection to higher thoughts and spirit. It's to disconnect you from anything that'll stop you from being a good little worker slave. Okay? So here's, you know what? You can't see me. Look at that. I'm making all these great hand gestures.
You're behind the curvature.
I'm behind the curvature. There we go. Solo camera. And I was making great hand gestures and stuff. So you got to say something if I'm not there. All right.
Okay. I thought you were going to show something with
No. My bad. Well, it's a nice background. And look, this is a balloon at 127,000 feet. Look, the sun's right there. It's right there. And it's even making a hot spot right here. If it was 93 million miles away, it would light up everything equally. And it wouldn't look like that. It's right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here so here I am standing on Earth. Okay. And if the sun was right above me, I'd have no shadow, right? If the sun is directly above you, now in Sweden, you never have a day like that because the sun's always off to the side because of the tilt of the Earth, they tell us. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Which is 20. What I think 90 minus the tilt is 66.6, right?
66.6. Absolutely. So
just a coincidence.
Just coincidence. So if the sun is directly above you, there's no shadow. And so what can we say about that? We could say the sun is at a 90-degree angle to you, and it's your summer. Wherever, if the sun is above you and there's no shadow, it's summertime, globe or flat Earth, and it's 90 degrees above you. So they tell us that because the Earth is tilted, right? So here we are. Here's Sweden. I don't know if you can see this. So here's Sweden somewhere over here. And during our summer, the Earth is tilted towards the sun, so we get more direct rays. Yeah. During our winter, when we go on the other side, we're tilted away, and those rays spread out more, right? They come in and they spread out more, which gives us our summer. This makes no sense at all because 90 degrees above me, to the most direct rays possible. So that's the most direct rays possible. So when it's 90 degrees above you, but at sunrise, when it's sunrise in June, the height of our summer, and the sun is right on the horizon, what do the temperatures get in June? Does it get warm? Is it you go to the beach?
25 degrees, maybe something like that, Celsius.
Okay, Celsius. So go to the beach in June, July, and when the sun appears on the water, you can feel the heat on your face right away. You can get a tan. You absorb vitamin D, and that's the most severe tilt possible. That's a 89-degree tilt. 85 to 90-degree tilt, right? Because 90 is above you, 45 is here. Well, that's the most severe. So now during our summer,
and also the rays, right? You can see the rays are coming out like this, which says it's more close. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the sun at the most severe angle, and during our summer, it's 3.5 million miles farther away in the helio-nonsensical model. You can get a tan, you can feel the heat, but then in December, it gets freezing. It's freezing cold in December, right where you are.
Yeah.
In December at noon, when the sun is like 50 degrees up, a much more direct angle, I can't feel the heat at all. I can't get a tan.
Right. Yeah.
That debunks the globe. Definitely. The globe. So let me just show for those of you that don't know how it works. The sky is a perfect.
To say that. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the model and just explain for people who never heard about it before.
So the sky is a perfect clock. And wherever the sun is, it's noon. So it's noon on the west coast of the United States right now. And it's early in the morning on eastern Australia. And the sun is approaching and rising. So I can call my friend in Sydney when the sun is right here and say, hey, where's the sun? He's like, oh, it's right above me. And it's noon. And so this works really well. The sun laps the moon once every 28 days. So the position of the moon and its phase keep track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days, but they hijacked that also. So you'll see that the moon is waxing and it's getting farther away each time around. So the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to slow it down and turn the stars on. The stars keep track of the seasons and the years. Right now, the stars are spinning slightly faster than the sun, but it takes 365 times around for the stars to lap the sun. So the sun will work its way backwards through each zodiac for about a month.
Oh, I love that one. That was really beautiful. I saw that one when you did it with Bjorn. I haven't seen that with the stars before. And also the things with when you say that the sun laps the moon every 28 days. So that it just fits perfectly, like it was also when I started researching Flat Earth, when you see how it works, it's a much simpler, more logical, more beautiful, like perfect model. Everything just like adds up, and it's just obvious that it was a creator behind it. Like you cannot deny it.
They want us to believe that we're in this beehive system with all of these bodies, and they all repeat and stuff. They want us to believe that the moon. The sun is 400 times bigger than the moon and 400 times farther, so they look like the same size. These aren't really to scale, but they look like they're the same size, and then they eclipse each other, right? Okay, perfectly. Well, the odds of that happening are 0.00000 to 120 zeros to 1, maybe, and the odds of it happening a second time are magnitudes worse than that. But the thing is, there's eclipses every year. And guess what? After 18 years, the entire cycle pattern repeats itself every 18 years, right? And so what does that tell you? Is that a random beehive gravitational solar system universe, or is that the makings of a fine clock?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so that answer your question?
I have a question about, because if you take the moon, 28 times 13 is 364, right? But 1 year is 365. What happened to that last day?
So the whole calendar has been hijacked. It's 28. It's 28 point something. The number isn't a whole number. But if you look at there's a have you ever heard of the Antarctica mechanism?
No, I don't think so.
So off of Greece and off the island of Antarctica, they discovered this device on the bottom of the ocean, and it was a couple thousand years old, and they X-rayed it, and they scanned it with an MRI machine, and they re-engineered it. And it's a device that keeps track of all of the eclipses, the positions of some of the planets, all of the phases of the moon, and the sun and the phases of the moon, and and to predict the eclipses, as I said. How does it know? It knew about the two cycles. There's two eclipse cycles, and they're both around 18 years. But it does this, and it still works today. Okay, this is absolute 100% proof that we don't live in this gravitational, nonsensical matrix that they want us to believe. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at the beginning, you said again. I'm going to say it again. You said, you know, Spirit told you this is it, right?
Yeah.
That's because you stopped and you listened and you let your brain hear, right? The being that is you is coming from an outside source. We're just receivers for information. You can get tons of information, right? But they said, nope, you're going to believe what we tell you. You're going to follow these books. You're going to work in these jobs. You're going to, you know, and you're going to take our medicines. It's such a control system. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. And the funny thing is, people will fight to maintain their slave status. They will fight you tooth and nail. Do not yank my world out from underneath my feet, because then I have to admit that I've been lied to my entire life, and that all of the, you know, I love space movies. I love, you know, all of the stuff. Well, I used to love space movies, so I still like them. They're fun, but they're not the same magic as they were, because space is fake. Nobody's ever been to space, right?
That's true. What do you think about that thing with space? And like, because I used to believe in aliens and stuff before, but when I came into flat Earth, I don't really like believe it anymore. But what do you think? Like, do you think we have the Earth and it's a permanent and that's it? You cannot get out of that, or how do you think about those things?
Great question. So for those of you who don't know, we're not a disk floating in space. We live in a pond. A pond. All of the world's oceans, think of them as a giant pond. All of the continents and islands are surrounded by water. Perfect. And all of the water is surrounded by the highest land on Earth, which is Antarctica. Antarctica is the shoreline of our pond, period. Right? Ponds, lakes have shorelines. The shorelines are higher than the surface of the water. That's how they contain the water with lateral pressure. Large bodies of water at rest need lateral pressure to maintain their form, okay? Large bodies of water lay flat over any distance. They lay flat when at rest, right? Antarctica is the highest land mass on Earth. Yeah. It's the shoreline of our world, right? So what's out here? Well, we're not allowed to go look. I just, at the time of this recording, literally, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, I released a video on my DITRH YouTube channel, short video of a very interesting map, showing that there may be other puddles and ponds spread across this Earth plane, which would explain aliens. Here's a smaller view of it. Where is it? Here we go. So we live here, okay? Yeah. Sweden's over here somewhere, okay? Yeah. This ring is Antarctica. It's huge. It's massive. Yeah. It's 1,000 miles wide, or maybe even wider. Yeah. And then there's more oceans and extra land. Okay. Yeah. Extra territory, extraterrestrials, the outer space, the inner space. Okay. Now think about this. If somebody lived out here, they could travel a couple thousand miles, come here, abduct you, do some crazy stuff probing you, and then make it back in time for dinner with the kids. Okay? Yeah. All right? That's true, so and that's right here across the Earth plane. All of the largest telescopes in the world, which are owned by the Vatican, are all in these outer lands looking out south. Why aren't they looking up? Yeah. They're all looking out. Yeah. Okay? Sure. So, and maybe this goes on and on and on and on across this plane. Maybe there's a giant dome, maybe where there's little domes inside the domes. Maybe the domes are physical, maybe they're not physical. Maybe they connect to the Earth, or maybe they just come down and then go back up again to the next realm. Okay? Yeah. We don't know, but we should have the ability to go explore. These governments that all these governments of the world, they're all fighting each other. Except when it comes to Antarctica. Oh, nobody can go there. Every country in the world signed on. Nobody can go and insert. You can spend a lot of money and get a little tour of this little peninsula right here. You can't even see it. They'll show you this. And it's huge. Yeah. It's bigger than some countries. Okay? Yeah. And that's all you get to see. Right? And there's 100 different... there's 100 different companies that you can book these trips with. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
They're all run by the same guy. So it's really only
yeah.
one company pretending to be 100 companies.
Yeah.
This is
Exactly.
all controlled because if they let us independently explore out here, oh no, we can't let you independently explore because if you get stuck, you know, it's going to cost us millions of dollars to go rescue you. How about this? Go screw yourself. Don't rescue us, right?
Yeah. Let us go down there.
Yeah. So this is the outer space. And then people say, well, I believe that aliens come from other planets, right? Well, if you start doing, they didn't teach us to deal with big numbers, okay? If you start doing the actual realization of stuff, you can realize that planets and stars are impossible. So our sun, if our sun was this big, how big is the Earth?
It was super small, right?
Like a tiny little pebble next to it, right? Tiny. And then if the sun was just a mile over our heads, it would fill the entire sky. But if I moved it 93 million miles away, what happens? It gets smaller. Why? Why does it get smaller? Why? I'm asking you. It's further away. Perspective. Very, very good. I'm only going to ask simple questions. And most people just short circuit. They go, oh, well, I don't know, because they haven't used their brains yet.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So I move it 93 million miles away. It's now went from, imagine it that it was just a mile over our heads. It fills the entire sky. It's so massive. Then when we move it 93 million miles away, it's now the size of a coin held at arm's length, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So follow me through on this. And follow me through. So what if I doubled the distance? How much smaller would it get?
Half, right, or something?
Oh, you know what? I think it would get. Well, first it went from the entire sky, to the size of a coin at arm's length. Yeah. And if I double the distance, let's just say it's half. Okay. Well, that coin is getting pretty small. Let's say we doubled that distance.
Right. Even
how much smaller is it? So let's just be fair. 24 times farther. And the reason I'm using 24 is because the sun is 8 light minutes away. 8 times 24 is 3 light days. If I move the sun 3 light days away, its angular size is too small for your eyes to see. This is a fact. Science proves it. You know, it's called the Rayleigh criteria. Your eye can only see something that gets so small. Like if I held a penny right here, you could see it. But if I moved it 100 yards away, you couldn't see it. Okay, I forget the exact distance, right? And it's because its angular size is too small. Well, the sun at 3 light days away is magnitudes too small. Okay, exactly. Now let's look at the closest star. Okay, the closest star is Alpha Centauri. They tell us, and they tell us it's 4.3 light years away or something like that, which is about 25 trillion miles. 4.3 light years. Now, I just showed you that.
Where did they even get those numbers from? They just like make them up?
They make them up because they made up the radius of the Earth, and they use that to extrapolate everything. Like, you know, if you have $1 million in the bank and I say, well, we're going to add interest to it and we're going to compound that interest and then we're going to give you a bonus based on the interest, how much money do you have in the bank? Well, the answer is, well, I didn't have $1 million to start with. So the whole equation is bullshit. Okay. Exactly. So wait, so let's finish. Follow me through here because people have a hard time with this. So the closest star, 25 trillion miles away. 25 trillion miles is 4.5 light years.
Yeah.
Versus the sun at 3 light days away is impossible to see. How much bigger does that have to be? All right, so now how long, I don't know how many videos of mine you watched, how long is 1 trillion seconds?
I don't know, super long, I guess.
Take a guess. If you guess it within 1 year, I will give you a Bitcoin. Come on, real quick.
500 million years.
Now that's a little crazy. 31,000 years. Okay. 31. So wait. So listen. Just think about that. 1 trillion seconds.
Yeah.
Is 31,000 years.
Yeah.
I don't even think the Earth has been here that long. That's a whole nother story. Okay. Yeah, exactly. 31,000 years. So if you're traveling at a mile per second and you're going to Alpha Centauri, after 31,000 years of traveling, you're only 1/25th of the way there.
Right, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And to make it crazier, the North Star, which we could all see, Polaris,
right?
They say it's 48 times bigger than our sun. Okay,
really?
Great. 48 times. Well, so let's do the same comparison. 3 light days away, our sun is impossible to see. So 3 light days times 48 hours is 6 light days. 3 light hours is 6 light days times 48 is 6 light days away. I think I did the math right. So it's 6 light days away. Polaris is impossible to see.
Yeah.
Impossible. Exactly. But they tell us it's 433 light years away.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where people short circuit. Their brains go, I can't handle these numbers that big because we've been put in this heliocentric lie, and we're told to trust people. It gets worse than that because the brightness doesn't work as things go farther away.
That can be part of, like, they want to say that we are, because if we live in flat Earth, we are the center of the universe, right? The sun, the moon, everything revolves around us. But in their model, we're just a piece of dust, right? Rotating around the sun. One solar system in one galaxy, part of millions. We are just so unimportant then, right? Isn't that also why they use like these big numbers and stuff, so we just feel so small,
They want us to feel like we're spinning out of control, lost in space, where an asteroid could take us out. Asteroids don't exist. Where you turn on the news, which is steering your mind, and they tell you about there's going to be a nuclear war. Guess what?
Yeah.
Nuclear bombs don't exist. What? Nuclear bombs don't exist. Okay.
I haven't researched that so much, but I heard about it. Can you explain a little bit why the nuclear bombs don't exist?
So I'm going to just tell you about it real quick, and then I'm going to tell you where you can get the information, and it is super amazing. So I know what you're thinking. What about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there's video of them setting up TNT, dynamite, at ground zero. 3 days after these nuclear blasts, the trains were running. The sandwich shops were open. They were selling flowers on the street. People were back to work, right?
Yeah.
Well, how come you didn't hear about this? I'll tell you why. Because anybody other than one person who was allowed to take photos and write articles for the entire world was allowed to do it. Anyone else that took a photo or wrote a story was put in jail. Okay?
What about people who live there, like testimony, stuff like that? Or, I don't know.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. If a mile away from you, 500 pallets of dynamite blew up and made a giant mushroom cloud, what would you say? Well, you don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's plants, people, and animal that are living there and thriving. Chernobyl and Fukushima, plants, people, and animal are still living there, thriving. There is no radiation, right? And radiation is another scam, right? The plutonium, all of this stuff. People are worried about nuclear power plants. Nuclear power plants are steam generators. What? Steam generators. They use plutonium to boil water and turn a steam engine. That's all they're doing. Okay? They're not pulling energy out of atoms. It's all made up to keep you in fear. False evidence appearing real. So where can you get this information? Because we can talk about it for hours. There's a podcast called Crow 777 Radio. CRR, 2 R's in Crow, 777radio.com. Episode 054 and episode 400. Listen to 054 first, and then listen to 400, and then listen to every other Crow episode. Crow is the most well-researched information podcast from everything about freeing yourself from the government system to health, nutrition, and just stuff that will get you ready for the world. What I tell people is if you have college-age kids getting ready to go to college or even high school, or even yourself, no matter what your age, don't send them. Here's what you do for kids.
Okay.
Every week, there's 2 new episodes. Listen to the 2 episodes, and then listen to 3 older episodes every week. That's 5 college courses a week. Okay. At the end of the year, you will be smarter than anyone and ready for this world ever. Okay. So it's Crow 777 Radio.
You should listen to 5 episodes a week.
Well, there's 2 new every week. So I say listen to the new ones and then start at the beginning and catch up. You have 400 episodes to catch up on. Okay. Wow. So it's going to take you a couple years to catch up. Not a couple years, take you a year. And you will have so much information in your head. You will see the world for what it is. They cover everything from no nukes to no space to everything. And again,
Well, what about dinosaurs? Because I don't really believe in dinosaurs. I mean, same thing, right?
Yes, there was giants here and giant lizards, but the whole dinosaur story is absolutely fake. You know, hey, look, what about this? Well, yeah, I watched Jurassic Park too. It's not real. Okay,
Right.
The guy, listen to this, and they did a dinosaur episode. The guy is so in all of history, from the pyramids, you know, through all of history, no one ever discovered a dinosaur bone. Then in the 1800s, some royal guy wrote a paper, published it about the theory of dinosaurs. Interesting. Okay. And then a year later, to the day, he discovered the first dinosaur.
Yeah. Just a coincidence.
Just a coincidence. So
that's great. Also with the bones, right? A lot of with the dinosaurs, maybe they only found 4 or 5 bones, but then
they find like one whale bone on the top of a mountain, and they extrapolate it. Go buy yourself some stegosaur toys and ask yourself, how did they mate? Okay, how did they mate? How did they mate?
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's crazy. There are so many lies like everywhere. I don't know, like So, but it's hard for people to take in the flat Earth because we've been indoctrinated a lot, and then also people maybe they don't want to admit, you know, that they've been wrong. I think that's a lot of things. So for me, I think I was already into other like conspiracies, so to say, you know, like already knew about 9/11 and banking system, all those things. So it's a little bit easier maybe to accept the flat Earth, but I don't know. It's still a really important topic because I think it's one of the most important one too, you know, because once you get into it, you see the whole thing with the creator and all that stuff, you know, and that we are like center of the universe. That's one of the most important things. Like, I mean, it's in the Bible too as well. Maybe I don't know if you read the Bible, but you're probably familiar with it. It's a lot of flat Earth in the Bible as well. Yeah.
The whole Bible is a flat Earth book. I mean, there's you know, you saw Eric Dubay's 200 proofs. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's also 200 Bible proofs.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I've seen that one with the verses, 200 verses.
Right, and it's truly amazing when you look into it. Now, listen, people go, "Oh, now I get it." A bunch of religious people think the Earth is flat. All right, I am not a religious person, and I used to I'll be listening to a great podcast. And then all of a sudden they mention the Bible, the Quran, whatever. And I'm like, oh, they're religious fanatics. And I would just unsubscribe. But I don't lead with the Bible, but the Bible supports the flat Earth. Again, I'll show the science, I'll show the actual proof, and then I'll say, and you know what? It's also in the Bible, which is amazing. But if you go into the more resources section, and right here in the middle, bam, Bible, hit that, up comes the playlist. I challenge anybody to watch the first 5 videos in here, especially the first one, real short, made by my co-host Matt Long from Woketown. It's called Dear Pastor, and he talks to he puts an offer out to pastors like, how come you don't see this? If you actually have the courage to show this to your pastor and he disregards it, it's time for a new church. Okay, it's time for a new church because this guy is not connected. He doesn't see it. But watch all of these. These are amazing videos.
I actually go to church. You know, I have Christian friends and stuff. So I mean, I believe in some stuff in the Bible, maybe not all of it. And a lot of my Christian friends, I mean, they believe in Jesus and all that stuff. But when you talk about the flat Earth, they just can't take it in. I don't know, but they can believe in Jesus and everything.
What you do is you invite them over to your house for a dinner party or whatever. And, hey, it's movie night, and break out some beers and say, you know what, I want to be safe. Everybody put your keys in the bowl because, you know, if you're too drunk, I don't want you to drive home. Then you take the keys and you hide them in the freezer or something. And then you start playing some flat Earth videos from this playlist and tell them they can have their keys when you're done with the videos. And there will be a test. All right. And then you've got them. It kind of sounds like you're bringing them into a cult, but you know you're actually dragging them out of a cult, and that cult is the heliocentric, nonsensical system.
Yeah, true. Amen. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, because the Bible did with many things. Because even if you don't believe in flat Earth, the Bible will still say that we are the crown of creation, that we are created by God. You know, so it has some truths in it. But if you add on the flat Earth, then you get the fullness, you could say. Like all of it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's beautiful.
From page 1 of the Bible, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. That's it. That's page 1. Okay. But here's the thing. I was an anti-religion Bible. I just didn't believe in any of that stuff. I believed in evolution and the heliocentric system and dinosaurs and all that stuff. And so if you said, hey, check out the flat earth, these Christians have some really good information, I'd be like, oh, you're out, and I'm done. So I'm very cautious on bringing up the Bible to start, but the Bible is a great backup. The Bible for someone that's a Christian, if they actually look, that's their absolute proof. But if you don't believe in the Bible, then it's not proof for you. Science works for everybody. And people go, what about the science of the globe? Show me the science of the globe and you could have 3 Bitcoins. Show me one piece. And you go, here's the best science they have. They go, physics. I'm like, well, that's a word. What physics? They're like, all of the physics of the globe. I'm like, what physics? What natural phenomena can you show me? What observation and hypothesis can you show me that scientifically proves that you're on a spinning ball when every observation, every measurement has proven stationary and level?
That's true. I mean, they will bring up gravity and stuff, but on flat Earth, we don't really need gravity, right? And we can just use density, right? We don't even need gravity. Like, I don't know.
Well, you know, gravity is, we believe now. We're trying to figure it out, and there's 2 camps. Hey, just buoyancy and density. But my question is, like, if I got this thing and I drop it, it goes down. Why did it go down and not sideways or up? Because it's more dense than the air. But why is down? Why is this the down direction? Because what if I held my hand here, but before I let it go, I snapped my fingers and the entire Earth disappeared? Yeah. And then I let it go. Right. How does it know which way down is? How does it know which way the Earth is? Okay.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's built in, I guess. I don't know. It could be gravity.
Well, Well, that's just a belief, you know. So again, we have physical things that are being held down, but non-physical things, less dense in the air, will go up. Like a helium trapped in a balloon will go up. Yeah. Okay. But that's two different things. So let's talk about what makes things go down. The Earth has a lower charge to it, a negative charge, if you will. Okay. And then the sky has a positive charge. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode, and we get this free energy system. The salt water carries the current. The land is the salt bridge, and we have this free energy battery. So here's an experiment. Here's an experiment that we did, where we got these balloons, and they're pulling up with this even force, holding this button off the ground. And we have a wire connected to a Van de Graaff generator, and we're going to add a positive charge to this button at the end here. Charge added. And now the force that the balloons are pulling can no longer support it because it got heavier. Well, nothing physical. It got a stronger positive charge, and the floor, the Earth, which is not moving, that charge became stronger. The positive charge on steel is greater than the positive charge on balsa wood. Okay.
You're saying it's like a magnetic field, so like the ground is like magnetic and something like that?
Well, there's this charge in the ground, and in the ground isn't moving, and anything above the ground that will come down. So the reason it goes down, but this charge is very, very weak force. It's a very weak force. It just says, hey, down is this way. And then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. A helium balloon goes up because the air around it is more dense. Yeah. And so it's just looking for a way up. Like if you held a ball underwater, it wants to find its equilibrium. It wants to go up. Okay. So again, there's, we know that there's not people floating upside down in Australia and
that whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, the thing with gravity, I used to believe in it, of course, like they said, but if you just think about it, say, okay, everything is heavy, it will attract other things, and everything on Earth would just be sucked down, right? I shouldn't really be able to move, and a bird should just be sucked down to the Earth, because it's so much smaller, shouldn't it?
So here we add a negative charge to this, and it goes up. Well, how does that work with gravity? How does that work with gravity? Negative charge, it goes up.
Okay. So you guys saying there's some magnetic field, like in between the Earth?
There's an electrostatic force again. So how do you find more information about this rather than just listening to Flat Earth Dave here? If you go in here, you go to the frequently asked questions, and then you say, what about gravity? And here are a whole bunch of videos that will help you understand what gravity isn't and what gravity most likely is.
Nice.
And you could learn about all of the stuff, and then you can make up your own mind. Again,
wow, that's good.
You know, the whole thing with gravity is absolute insanity, because if you think about it, you know what the three-body problem is?
Not really.
Probably don't. All right. So you can take a computer model and you say, okay, I got a sun in here. It's got this much gravity, and I got an Earth, a planet, and put it into orbit. And the computer model, supercomputer, best computers in the world, will know where this thing's going to be forever. It'll just know exactly where it's going to be a week in the future, 1,000 years in the future, and it works perfectly. Now you add another body, either another planet going around the sun with it, or a moon going around the Earth, and the whole thing, after the computer can figure out what it's going to do for like less than a minute, like a very short period of time, and then it goes into chaos mode, and it never repeats itself, right? It just goes into random chaos mode. Just look up the three-body problem. There's all animations showing it just goes into randomness. Wow. So look at our solar system. You know, we have 8, 9 planets, whatever, and then they have moons, and then there's comets that come around, and the Earth, and all of these things, right? And you have to believe ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. You have to believe that this sun is holding on to Saturn and Jupiter and Earth and Pluto way the hell out there. It's holding on to them, but somehow the moon that's going around the Earth, it ignores the moon. What about the moon? It comes around the Earth, it's going back towards the sun. Yeah. Well, how come it doesn't get ripped away? How come it doesn't speed up? And when it goes back around, how come it doesn't slow down as it's going away? Right. With a planetary alignment.
Our own rotation around our own axis. I mean, we don't feel anything, right? They say we go 1,000 miles per hour around our own axis. I mean.
Well, the global argument is, well, look at a clock hand, the hour hand on a clock. Can you see that moving? And that's going half the angular speed, because it goes around twice a day, right? And that's for a weak mind, that's a great argument. But in reality, if I was on a merry-go-round, right, which is like 20 feet around, and it circled once per day, it'd be really difficult to even notice I was moving, right?
You would notice, wouldn't you? I mean,
you would notice it, but it's going around once a day. It's moving so slow, you will die of boredom. Okay, like if you tried to stand next to a merry-go-round that's rotating once a day and walk with it, you'd have to like move forward like a quarter of an inch, at a time for like, it'd be like ridiculous, and you wouldn't. It was just going so slow. Now expand that to, let's say, 24 miles around, that 24-mile circumference merry-go-round. Well, now it's going a mile per hour. Now you got to kind of walk, right, for 24 hours, right? Now let's make it 240 miles, which isn't that big compared to the Earth. 240 miles. So now you have to go 10 miles an hour. 10 miles an hour, you're running. You need a bicycle to keep up with this thing. Okay?
Exactly.
Right? Okay?
Yeah, that's crazy. And like a helicopter could just go up and wait for the Earth to rotate, right? And go down.
Well, their argument is the air is spinning with the Earth. Nonsense. Right? So now expand that merry-go-round to 24,000 miles around. Okay? It's now going 1.5 times the speed of sound. Okay? Right? You need a fast jet fighter to keep up with that. And that's not a straight line. But if you're going, arguably, if you're going in a perfectly straight line at a consistent speed, it doesn't matter what speed you're going at. Once you're at that speed, you won't notice it. If you're in a container, we're not in a container on a globe. Well, the problem is it's a vector, because it's turning. So 24,000 miles around, going 1,000 miles an hour, it's dropping it over a mile a minute. Okay, so imagine flying in an airplane at 1,000 miles an hour. To maintain your distance over the Earth, if you kept going straight, you're going to just fly off into space. You have to keep nosing down at a mile a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I think it's faster than a guy free fall skydiving without the parachute open. You have to dive down. So if you're in an airplane, you want to compare an airplane. You know, I could drink a glass of water on the airplane and go take a walk up and down the aisle, and I don't feel it. I'm like, well, first double the speed of the airplane, take the outside shell of the airplane off, and have the pilot nose down a mile a minute faster than a skydiver. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
And then tell me how your friggin' water is doing and how your trip to the bathroom is doing, because you're probably going to crap yourself. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's stupid, and all the like navigation systems, they all assume a flat surface, right? I mean, GPS, gyroscope, all those stuff. It's all for a flat surface, isn't it?
Yeah. A gyroscope spins up at the airport, and then it maintains rigidity in space. So when the airplane turns, the gyroscope stays level, and it knows that it's turning. And the airplane goes up and down. The gyroscope stays level. So as we're flying, that gyroscope doesn't go around the Earth. Yeah, it goes like this.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't prove anything. Somebody came up with an idea that we get an airplane, go to the equator, and we don't use GPS, and we don't use compass to navigate. We use two gyros. One level holds our horizontal, and one vertical. And so the plane takes off, and we follow the vertical one, right?
Okay.
Well, and we head east or west. Well, if the Earth is a globe, I should always be going east and west. But east and west aren't straight lines. East and west are circles. So it'll quickly show us that we're going off of east and west. So when I say east and west are circles, here's the magnetic north. And I'm trying to push this compass west, but I have to keep turning because that needle has to point towards the north for me to maintain a western heading. This works the same on a globe and a flat Earth, in the north at least. And so east and west are circles. But I'll try to dead reckon east, but I have to keep turning. This is 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. On a scale this big, you think you're going straight. You don't know it. If I wanted to so I set my gyro up and say, all right, I'm going to go straight. I'm going to follow my gyro, and I'm not going to follow my compass. I'm heading south already. Instantly, I'm heading south. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think this is a I got to talk to it with a couple of people. I think it's a great proof.
Yeah, it would be really. That's also the thing with because I also said if you want to prove like the globe, there should be many ways to be able to do it, especially for the people who have money, right? I mean, NASA and all those people, or they could just take a rocket ship or something, and you film from Earth all the way out until you see the globe nonstop, no cutting. Why haven't they made like 100 of those movies? It would be so easy, right? I mean, it's just
right. Well, so when we watch a NASA or SpaceX or Blue Origin rocket launch, there's two things we see. The first thing is it curves out and it crashes in the ocean, but nobody wants to pay attention to that. But there's edit. It's just edit. Like there's like 7 edits before it even gets off of the tower, the launch pad. Okay, so there was the Go Fast rock that went up in Arizona here, and this is just by some amateurs, and it gave us an uninterrupted view. Wow, it's spinning around, and we're looking down, uninterrupted view. Now this is a little sped up. I just do this for time, right? And around 70 to 80 miles up, all of a sudden it hits something like a thicker plasma. And it stopped spinning. Now, some people say there's this spin, anti-spin nonsense that they introduced, a month after we exposed this. I see no evidence of that. But the most important part is when it turned on its side, we could see the moon right there.
Okay.
Right?
Wow. Yeah,
There's the moon. Well, so if this is the Earth,
flat. The horizon looks flat, right?
Well, that too. But the moon was over Australia. Okay, so we're right here, and we could see the moon on the other side of the Earth. If the Earth was a basketball and the launch pad was on the top of the ball, we're a millimeter above that ball, and the moon is below the ball. How do we see the moon?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. But they probably say, oh, it's light bending or whatever, reflective. They make something up.
No, you know what they did? You know what they did in this one? They ignored us. They do not respond to this because it just brings there's certain things they can't respond to because it just brings more attention to it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So
amazing. So many things.
Yeah. We're any final questions? Because I do have to run. I got another scheduled call.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for doing this interview. It was really informative, and I hope the people who listened got a little bit basic idea about the flat Earth. And like Dave said, you could say some places where people can go to find more information if they're more interested.
I'm going to give you the best thing. So the app is $3. No big deal. Go read the reviews if you're worried about spending $3 on an app. Wait, one other thing I want to show you on the app. Right. And which is quite interesting is we have a friend finder that you could sign up for. So let's look at Sweden.
Yeah.
You're in Sweden.
Yeah.
Oh. Sweden. And
I'm in the south.
You got a few over there. You got a few.
Go in the south.
Down here?
Yeah, all the way in the most south.
Farther south.
Yeah.
But they're growing over here.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Have you reached out to anybody? Because you can tap on a dot and you can message people. And the ones that have little people in them, they actually have a profile. So if I hit the profile, here's the person. You can find out, hey, are they single? Are they looking for work? Are they interested in meetups? Lots of information. And then you could also send like
in my area. I wrote to some of them that were close by.
So I set mine for 50 kilometers, and then on the bottom right here, I can hit this button, and within that 50 kilometers, I have 353 people. I could send them a message and say, hey, meet up this Saturday at Joe's Bar and Grill, wherever state park, and everybody shows up and. People are finding, everyone that shows up will either be your new best friend or possibly your new romantic partner. You don't know. People are using this as a dating app, which is kind of cool.
Nice. Yeah, we actually have a Facebook group in Sweden called Flat Earth Sweden. It has about 3,000 members. I don't know how many are really flat earthers. Some of them are maybe just, investigating. But and I tried to organize a meetup because we haven't had we have a lot of meetups regarding, conspiracy, New World Order, all that stuff. But with Flat Earth, we haven't had that many yet.
And have you discovered this button yet? So this button is a way, if you're going to tell people about the app, click that button and give them your personal referral code. This is mine. And when they download the app, if they type in the referral code, it will keep track of how many people you've woken up. Your app will do a little animation, like someone did it, and you're like, oh, they downloaded the app, excellent, and it'll keep you informed. So right now I have 15, so I'm a shrimp, but a couple more I turn into a crab, and then my icon will change. So this way you can look, hey, let's say you're somewhere and you're like, hey, I want to organize a group. You can look and go, oh, look, there's a shark there. That guy's pretty involved, and you can tap on it and you can message, and now you're connected with somebody else that's very interested, and it's a way to find people out. So here's the thing: the app is $3, as I said. There are premium features, and the premium features are you can receive messages and not be a subscriber. Yeah. Right. But if you want to send messages, if you want to use the Dark Sky Weather app, which is great, or if you want to fill out a profile or view profiles, you have to be a subscriber. The subscription is $11 a year. $11 a year. You bought me a margarita and you forgot to tip the bartender. Okay. And then here's the thing. A lot of people are like, well, I don't like repeating charges. Absolutely. Here's what you do. Subscribe if you want, and then put a note in your calendar a couple weeks before reminding you that the subscription is going to renew. But another thing is Apple and Android will email you. They're like, hey, your subscription is about to renew. Do you want to cancel it? So you don't have to worry about it. Here's the thing. I hate subscribing to things that are auto-renew. If somebody says, oh, can you be my patron for $1 a month? I'd say no, but I'd rather give you $100. right now, one time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So for those people, don't look at it that way. You know, just you will be notified that it's going to renew. And here's the thing. Everybody wants to renew because people want their profiles up there. They want to be able to see. They want to be able to communicate. And it's a good thing.
It's a great way we can grow the flat Earth community, because I feel like, I mean, I came in like 2016, and these few years it's going up more and more. And I hear about people here and there, you know, accepting it. So maybe in 10 years or so, I think it will be like, at least in the truth-seeking movement, most of it will be flat Earthers. Or what do you say?
Right, absolutely. And we added a new homeschooling section, which we're just building right now. These are more educationally oriented. You know, the one on the right here, Flat Earth Man, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He does these amazing songs for kids, and he's just turning them into kids' reading books. These books will teach little kids to read faster than anything else, and it'll fill them with truthful information. Right?
Nice.
So this one is about, I don't believe in gravity. So the kid's going to read the book. He's listened to the music a whole bunch of times, saw the amazing video, and then they can read the book, and the words are in their head already. It teaches kids to read, and it's awesome for adults. It's a fantastic book.
Nice.
And then, as I mentioned, here's Crow. Here's Crow. You want to learn about history? Here's just a direct link to the greatest John Levy. 20 to 30-minute videos once a week. Fantastic. Science lessons by our Globebuster Kyle. And then all sorts of new stuff is going to be added to this as we go. And
awesome.
Do I have Sweden on here? Swedish? Yeah.
Awesome.
Basically,
people should start by downloading the app, and then also they can go to your channel, right, on YouTube, DITRH.
Yeah, DITRH. Here's the easiest thing to remember. FlatEarthDave.com. My YouTube is there. My interviews are there. My app is there. Customer support is there. To book me for a show is there. FlatEarthDave.com. Everything is there. My podcast is there. Download art is there. You know, if people like, hey, that they want cards, the art for cards to hand to people, and then you could actually take that card and put your information, your code number on it, and so when you hand it out, you'll start getting, you know, confirmations on how many people you've unplugged from the heliocentric matrix and connected back to their source. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, thank you so much for doing this once again. And hope the people listening got a little taste for the flat Earth model and what it can mean. And just keep researching and find the truth. You know, that's what I will encourage everyone to do.
Yeah, one more thing I want to point out. You're in Sweden. I'm here in the United States. How many miles is that?
I don't know.
It's a lot of It's thousands. It's thousands of miles. And how much curvature is there, right? There's like hundreds and hundreds of miles of curvature. Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
We're able to talk to each other in real time. But when they try to talk to somebody on the International Fake Station, which is only 250 miles above them, there's a 10-second delay.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so stupid. Stupid.
All right. So just question everything. And
question everything. FlatEarthDave.com. Thanks, and I'll see you.
Yeah, bye.
All right, bye-bye.